as you all know, last we left off, you had just basically fought through the worst night in at least Darien's or Dazz's life, which he doesn't remember a lot of because he was drunk on dwarven brandy the whole night.
Yes.
You had fought zombies and cultists that were rampaging throughout the city until you eventually ended up at the mayor's villa, which is the Lord's villa. And you, Luna or Hilda, basically just shook this mayor down for everything you could get out of him outside the strange magical amulet he's wearing around his neck. Along the way, you were accompanied by your friend Clark here, who became a party favorite because he is a super overpowered guard, and the only guard to really survive the entire night. And now it's night, you guys are free to go around the manor everywhere but upstairs, which is blocked off. That's where the mayor went. You can request from the guards to have the mayor come down if you want to question him again. That is a possibility. They will consider that request. And he did say, like, if you need something, just ask my guards and they'll come get me. But you guys basically have free reign of the lower levels, and your friend, the cultist, is locked up in a cell over here.
Oh, wow. There we go. Yeah. But he's still pretty out of it to actually be able to ask anything.
No, he's shot with a flaming arrow, punched in the head several times, took a few sword blows. He's pretty fucked.
Live?
Right, so
yeah, and stripped of all of his valuables.
Mute myself.
He's basically sitting there with nothing.
Luna would, for the most part, she probably would have gone to her room to start studying the amulet and making those extra potions that we talked about before.
And
so,
Luna, you managed to basically haggle this mare down and get this room over here, which is, as you can tell, one of the better rooms because it actually has, like, bathroom and a side area. It's private.
Yeah, that sounds like her. It also has this nice little storage space over there.
Whereas you, Karen and Darien, are over here in these two rooms. It's just kind of like a little suite area here.
Yeah.
But you guys, it's probably, I would say, around, in our terms, 8, 9 in the evening, 10 in the evening at this point.
Okay.
So before we get super far, I want to... where are those notes? There they are. Yes, there was a history check I can make for the skull amulet as well as the artifact amulet, and then the arcana check for the skull amulet as well to see about those fear effects that it's giving off.
Yes, you'd have to get the mayor to come down and have the amulet present because he took it with him. But you can do the checks on the two items you have, which would be the book and the necklace that you have on your person.
Alright, so I'm going to do the history check on the amulet as well as the arcana check.
Alright.
Also, I had a question that I thought of last night.
Yes.
The actual
amulet, right?
Yeah, the actual amulet is...
Fuck!
The actual
Sorry.
That's right. The actual amulet itself, does it give off the fear just by looking at the actual amulet itself or touching it? What if you wrapped it? What if you wrapped it in something?
No, looking at it and holding it causes the effect. But
if
it's wrapped up and covered, it does not.
Okay, that's what I was curious about. I thought it was, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
Alright, so I have no fucking idea about this fear effect.
No, you don't.
Clearly.
You don't know anything about that. But the history roll, you are able to know that this symbol, when I mentioned before, it has a very deep historical significance in Brightfall. So much, in fact, that a 14 is able to tell you that this was the symbol of an ancient necromancer that terrorized the city up until about 50 years ago.
That probably is the master that the cultists mentioned they wanted to bring back in the last episode.
Roll to have history on that.
Roll to have history on that again. Okay.
Yes, on the cult.
Hey.
Oh, right, you do know. The necromancer's name was Nazgoth. He was a powerful necromancer that the earliest record of him dates back 300 years. He was known to be a particularly potent witch. was slain
Oh,
50 years. He
God.
was supposedly, according to records, slain 50 years ago by a hero by the name of Relic, and is believed to have been utterly destroyed. The cult is the followers of Nosgoth. They're a minor faction, and they're only present in Zendrick, the continent you are on, specifically in the area of Brightfall. They follow the teachings of Nosgoth, and believe that unlife is the purest form of existence, and that all other creatures, especially non-humans, are lower than it. So in their minds, being turned into a zombie is the highest reward outside of being a lich.
Well, I can appreciate the lich standpoint. I need to get the mayor down here right the fuck now.
Yes.
So, after discovering that, she's going to, like, basically, you know, just fucking dash to the guards and demand that the mayor come down this instant because she needs to see the necklace.
All right. One second.
I guess while that's going on, can I say what's going on?
You can. It really depends. You can roll perception on it to see if you hear like just panicked movement.
I know, but I was gonna just say like, does it matter if I actually do the RP of what I'm doing, even if it doesn't matter or anything? And we're just going with importance. I'm just what she's doing in her room. That's all.
You can do whatever you want. Yeah, I don't really mind if you want to say, oh yeah, I'm doing this or.
I just was gonna say that because like Karen was just putting all her stuff away and taking off the parts of her equipment she didn't need to be wearing, but she did notice that when she was taking it off, she did drop the amulet under the bed that she had grabbed from the cultist. She went to go pick it up, and immediately it gave her a sense of fear.
Yep.
Realizing she knew it was she knew it was something magical, but not entirely sure what. So she quickly grabbed a cloth and put it over to wrap it up to see if that would stop the effect. Gladly, it did. So she immediately sat on the bed, just trying to get her arm to stop shaking because it was bringing back bad memories.
Yep.
Eventually, she managed to calm herself down and sort of looked at the amulet wrapped up and realized that there's something going on with this that she needs to figure out what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing very well that Luna seems to have some sort of knowledge behind this kind of stuff, Karen's about to go out to go look for Luna.
All right, and while this is all happening, I'm assuming this is all happening in the same time frame. Dazz, Darien, what are you doing?
Well,
besides nursing a bit of a hangover.
Yeah, I'm nursing a bit of a hangover, and I'm pretty sure Darien right now is sort of just going through his head of like some of the things, trying to remember what he can right now, and I don't think he wants to do much else at the moment. He's too busy focusing on it.
You are a peasant, so a peasant turned folk hero. So this entire experience for you has been incredibly traumatizing. Yeah. Because you've never dealt with anything of this sort before.
Yeah.
And I believe, according to your backstory, you were something. I think it was a cobbler. What were you? Let me check your backstory again. Yeah, you were basically just like your standard worker. You were a cartographer.
Yep.
That was your profession before this.
I need to get used to looking at Discord on my laptop on the side. It's a good thing I'm not looking at anything private, but fucking I totally opened up a server alert.
So, Karen, you would see Luna just bolt out of their room, basically, or at least like as much of a bolt as Luna does, to go and just
Olympic speed walking.
Yeah, Olympic speed walking. Like if there was a record for speed walking, this would probably take it.
Yeah, that's why I'm sort of just hanging back here for a second to see what's going on.
And when you get up and tell I need to see the mayor right now, the guard's like, okay, just give me a second, and he'll go up and go get the mayor. And after about 5 minutes or so, he comes walking down in basically some nightwear, which is just like a standard robe. He's still clutching his pipe that he was holding before, and he's just like, yes, what is it?
Did you bring the amulet?
Oh yes, it's right here, and he pulls it out of his shirt.
And she will attempt to basically grab it and look at it really closely, and she is inspecting for a lich soul.
All right, you can roll to figure out more about this amulet because it is a historical relic. And because you just spent a little bit of time and you know the history of the necromancer, you will have advantage on the roll to figure out what the heck this item is.
History?
Yes. So 19. All right. So you know that this is the amulet of Linus. It is not linked to the necromancer because it predates the necromancer, actually. The amulet was crafted by a master dwarven smith commissioned by the poet-warrior Richard Linus some 500 years ago from the clan Karak and Zor, which you know is the clan here in town. And the amulet itself was passed along to the various heroes of Brightfall until it fell into the hands of the legendary hero Vulcan before his death. So it is not linked to the necromancer in a personal way, but it is linked in the fact that it was worn by the man who killed him.
That's a pain. Does that mean that they can use this to bring back the necromancer?
You don't know that information, but you remember that the amulet is used to has a set of properties, magical properties that allow it to unlock things.
So maybe the necromancer isn't actually dead and he's sealed away, and this amulet's the key to that. Because if the hero had it with him, and he was able to use it to create some sort of seal, because it's incredibly magical, it would be very hard to break without this amulet. Why it would end up in the hands of some pudgy-ass mayor, I don't know,
well,
but...
You remember that the amulet was given to the lord of the city upon the hero's death. And the lord, because Brightfall is a shadow of its former glory, basically treats this entire city as a summer home. And so left the mayor in charge. For some reason decided to give it to the mayor, which is unknown to you why. But the lord hasn't been seen in the city for some time.
If I see that lord in person, we're going to have words.
So all this time, I'm standing over here. I'm within hearing distance. I can hear all this. Is there any possibility that because of my age, I actually recognize any of those names?
Luna would not be. Luna, I don't think said any of this out loud. This was a check, and she would just be thinking.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah, that's right. I forgot that was not said out loud.
You do not know.
Okay, so she would sort of just give a bit of a sigh of relief that her major suspicion turned out to be wrong, because boy, would that have sucked ass. I mean, it would have made this whole adventure short, but seriously, that would have been a super dangerous thing to have.
Oh, yes.
But, yeah, so... with that information, she can't really do too much further. She just sort of hands it back to him and says, "My suspicion was false. Thank the gods." And then she walks away.
He just kind of looks confused, and he tucks the amulet under his shirt and goes, well, "What was the issue? What was the problem? It's, he's like, what's the deal with this? It's just a relic of the city." Because he is not a mage. He does not know it's powerful in magic.
So she just sort of looks to him and says, "It's so much more than that, old man."
He just looks down at like confused, basically.
So she would probably, at that point, explain to him a little bit about the history at that point out loud. She'd talk about the heroes that wielded it, and she'd talk about the small amount of connection it has to the necromancer that she was researching.
You would see him like just pale dramatically at the mention of that necromancer's name, and he would just like make like a quick like sign of like the local god, and he would just that person has been vanquished for many years, and we're utterly thankful for that. And the only place the only place this amulet I think has any connection to in town would be the tomb. But other than that, nothing. Like, I don't know what they want with this. There's no other reason why they would want it. It's literally just a relic at this point.
Well, they seem to think, if my suspicions are correct, it could be used to bring him back. And I'm fairly certain as long as you hold on to it, they're going to keep coming after you.
He just kind of looks at you confused and goes, "Well, I don't know anything about that. The only person who I know would know anything about this amulet is its maker." Now, I don't know anything personally about that, or if it could be used to bring someone back. It's never. Don't those artifacts usually try to possess their owners? I mean, he's obviously confused because he's way out of his depth here. He's going on local legends, stories of like magical items that are connected to liches, like possessing their owners, etc.
Look, don't try to understand something you can't possibly fathom. Just tell me, who exactly made the amulet?
Why, it would be Lord Thulgrim Kazrak and Zor, the leader of the local dwarven clan.
Right. Then, on the morrow, I will go meet with him, get the information I need about this amulet, and if it proves too dangerous for you, I'm going to take it.
He just kind of pales at the idea of, like, great personal danger. And he says, well, if the amulet is in any way behind any of these issues, you know, you may not think very highly of me, but I do have the concerns of the city at the forefront. I would gladly part with it temporarily if it meant an end to this cult problem.
Sorry, can we quickly pause for a second? I just gotta go do something quickly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Again, sorry.
it's all good.
No, so, well, he steps out. If you wish, Dazz, you can do something while we wait over here because Karen is within earshot of Luna, and I don't want Karen to miss anything that's said. But Dazz, what do you do?
What I was thinking of doing, I was thinking of that time that Darien stops moping around in his room because he's fought it through for a while, and goes out for a walk around the mansion. And when he comes out of his room, like over here, you know what I mean, starts walking around, and he sees everyone in this room, and he's wondering what's going off in here. You know what I mean? He's like, what's going off? And Kaden's not here. I was going to lean in and say, what's the commotion all about?
So move Clark off the map a little bit here because he's not currently present.
We'll get him later, don't worry.
Yeah, get out of here, Clark. You'll come
We'll
back.
We'll find you later when we're gonna go into our first dungeon crawl.
Yeah, we're gonna need your skill. But no, yeah, you definitely get the feeling that this mayor. You can do an insight roll actually on this if you want for personal insight.
Okay.
He's good with people.
You
That's
can,
not something I can say.
yeah. Either one of you can roll when he says that he genuinely, like, you know, when he's talking about the giving up the amulet, the genuine care for the city, etc. You can.
So it was me rolling insight, did you say?
Either one of you.
Okay.
I'm not sure that Luna would be able to assess that because she doesn't really have a high care for people
That's
as a whole.
true, and I remember you were talking about basically like some disadvantages with this character for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, she's not.
I could let you roll it with
people person.
disadvantage. You want to give that?
Fair enough.
And guys, you would just roll normal.
Alright.
Yeah, no. Luna doesn't give a shit if he's telling the truth or not at this point.
Yeah. No, that sounds like her.
Oh.
It wasn't even. I can't believe. I hate that I got a fucking 20 on one of those. That's my 120 for the day.
Yep.
It's gone.
You just don't even
He's
know
too
who that-
busy fucking moping.
Yeah, you're too busy mulling over the fact that there was walking corpses and spells being thrown about
Yeah.
and cultists and something. You heard something vaguely about a necromancer, and like this is just stuff straight out of like a story your mother would tell you.
Yeah. Someone needs
you
to
were-
kick my character's arse, you know what I mean, and stop moping around.
Yeah, basically.
He's too worried about the latest episode of The Walking Dead.
You're living it. You know, just gotta wait for him to get back.
I think the key
Yeah.
for my character is don't be like consistently drunk, otherwise he's not gonna be able to do nothing. He'll be too busy moping.
Note, Dazz's character needs copious amounts of alcohol.
Great.
Yet he already noted
Just great.
not to drink dwarven alcohol though.
Oh, yeah, don't drink dwarven brandy. Which is what you had.
Yeah. Well, I'm supposed to know it's gonna be dwarven brandy. I just asked for the strongest drink you had.
He pulled out a bottle with Dwarvish on it, and your character can read Dwarf.
I don't remember that. Okay.
I wouldn't imagine you did. You drank Dwarf brandy.
Yeah, you don't remember that, and I go and check your character sheet, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I know that makes sense. Your character's at the threshold where he can read, and that's about it.
Yeah. Stick as shit.
But that perception.
Yeah.
It's okay. You got a scientist on your team right now.
It's true. You got a scientist and an elf who's like well into their hundreds. Well, actually, just at the cusp of adulthood, which is like 130.
Yeah.
And still kind of a child.
I'm just the brute force. That's what I am.
Yep. All those years of being a cartographer made you just such a brute. Yes. What a great all those books and drawing utensils you had to move around. Great. I'm trying to think of what else can be done while we wait for Cade. Because I don't want to go more into what the mayor is saying without them there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's see.
Yeah, no, I was gonna have you do something, but I'm not gonna have you do it now.
Okay. So, wait. Okay. I have a question about history.
Yes.
Or maybe not history, but just the research on the city I did in general.
Yes.
But he said that guy whose name I can't remember because I'm not going to try to pronounce it, was the leader of the dwarf clan, right?
Yes, Thorgrim.
Would I know much about him?
What was your role in the history of the city again?
I don't remember.
I'll just let you do another roll for it. I'll give you advantage because you already did a little bit of research.
What's the role of the city?
Because he's a figurehead, and I feel like that's something she would have studied.
Oh yeah, no, he's a very important figure, especially with the huge wealth discrepancy between the average human and humans. I'm gonna say 14's enough because I know you rolled like a 20 something last time.
Yeah.
So what you know about him is he is a very old. He's been around since the time of the golden age of Brightfall, when it was the capital of the kingdom in this area. And he basically was the founder of the clan in the city. He's somewhere around 720 years old.
And dwarves live to be 1,000, so that's like 70 for us.
Yeah, he's very old for a dwarf, and he is in his prime. He was one of the best craftsmen this side of the world. His skill has decreased slightly in age, but an amulet of this sort is definitely within the realm of his making, with considerable ease, in fact. And you know that he is, from what writings have said about him, a very angry man. He has a very short temper.
Man.
The various meetings diplomats have had with him have placed him as very wise and intelligent, but quick to bursts of anger, which is why the mayor is terrified of him.
Oh boy. Okay, so I really hope that the party, by the point that they go and talk to this guy, I really, really hope, because Luna's not going to think of this herself, so I really, really hope that somebody else in the party realizes that she shouldn't talk to him directly. Like, they should not have a vocal interaction. I think Karen should talk to him, if anybody, but...
And you also know that he has an heir, Darien, who is not a very notable figure in the city. He spends most of his time speaking with the nearby elven settlements to negotiate trade with the clan hold and settlements nearby.
In before, that's the dwarf from the bar.
No, that's a different dwarf.
Okay. But that dwarf can get us in the door.
Yes, that dwarf is important, but he's not a figure that would have songs written about him, or stories or information. Whereas Darien is around 300 years old, so he's like half the age of his father, and he's been around for quite a bit longer, and he's basically the clan diplomat. So.
Okay. Well, All right then.
You also
know.
know that Thorgrim, the dwarf clan head, was the chief architect for the crypts and tombs of Brightfall.
Who?
Thorgrim, the clan head, the dwarf clan head, was the chief architect of the crypts and tombs of Brightfall.
Oh, that's the same guy.
Yes, the same old dwarf.
So if he made an amulet, if he made the crypts where the necromancer was buried, and he made an amulet, and it's only believed that the necromancer just was destroyed, and these cultists think the necromancer can be brought back, then all of this is pointing to the necromancer was never killed, he was sealed away, and the dwarf helped the hero with this, or the dwarf amulet was able to help the hero seal the dude away in the crypt. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm getting from this.
Possibly.
That's my logic train. It may be right, it may be wrong, but that's what I'm going with until we get information that says otherwise.
Yeah, most of the information says that he is a very, very good craftsman.
Yeah.
I am so sorry about this. This is taking me longer than I thought. Just give me a couple more minutes.
It's okay.
Right.
No, I know we're on limited time right now, so I'm trying to get this done fast.
Take your time. Okay, so that makes sense. That all makes sense.
Yeah, and you know this through like various, just like treaties about the history of the architects and the city, the big projects undertaken that may have been like of note. And like some few hundred years ago, when all this like bad shit was going down, which you read about, you know that there was a huge demand for crypts for heroes in the city, and the bill and the contract for these crypts was placed on the dwarf hold, and that's where his name appeared notably multiple times throughout the document, because he's the clan head as well as at the time their best craftsman.
So good to have knowledge skills.
Mm-hmm. But as I said before, he is a very crotchety old dwarf.
Yeah, which is why, hopefully there is a chance where Luna can mention that fact offhandedly, so that somebody else in the party can realize that she should not talk to him.
Like I believe, like some of the texts were like, yes, you know, he's very venerable, real elder, but has a certain sour temperament, has little patience for those he deems to be of inferior like intelligence or poor manners, and like basically like flowery language to signify that he's not exactly a friendly individual.
Oh boy.
They're just like really trying to play it up that this guy is totally kind of.
Well, thankfully Luna doesn't have any problems on the intelligence standpoint, but boy, do her manners leave something to be desired.
I mean, you're a half-elf. That puts you already halfway in the...
She's also a scientist.
Wait. Not good at manners, but very intelligent, yes?
Yeah, that's her.
That's like the opposite of my character.
Good at manners, but bad at intelligence.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, so, I can make notes if you didn't type any of that down, too. Well, actually, I have it all written up, so if you need that, I can just send that to you.
Sounds good. I'll probably need notes at some point.
Yeah, I kind of figured, but, yeah.
You know I'm bad at note-taking.
Yeah, I know.
I go off memory.
I do a little bit of both, because I do a lot of like writing, in-depth writing for what I want to do. But
the thing is, the most note-taking I've ever done is when I come up with a story that I want to write, and I'm never going to get around to actually writing it because I get like I lose all my energy after I finish writing the notes.
Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry.
Welcome back.
I had to go help somebody with something.
Okay, so
anyways,
Continue what the mayor was saying.
Yeah, sorry. We lose Cody?
Cody,
Yes.
you're still the mayor.
Yeah, I'm still here.
I'm back.
All right.
Did you not hear any of that the first time?
No.
Holy shit, Discord, what are you doing?
What did I miss?
No, I just said I was back,
like-
and Hill was like, "Okay, you can, we can continue from where I paused this rudely."
Yeah, but Discord apparently cut all of that off.
No, I didn't hear anything. That was like a total cutoff for me.
That's weird.
All right, so do you want me to basically summarize what was said then?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so Kaden, what Luna found out by both a few history checks and checking the amulet, etc., talking to the mayor, was that the amulet was made by a master craftsman by the name of Thorgrim, Karak, and Zor, and it is connected to a hero who is buried here in one of the crypts or the tombs of Brightfall. They also found out that the dwarf Thorgrim is still alive. He's the leader of the clan in the local clan of dwarves. He is 700 plus years old, but he was also the chief architect behind the tombs and crypts of the city, which means that the amulet, which unlocks potentially a tomb in the city, and the architect and the tomb itself were both made by the same dwarf.
And all this was said out loud when she was talking to the mayor, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And
So-
well, no, Luna did not say this out loud, I believe.
Okay.
Oh no, this is just...
What was the part you said out loud? It was the part explaining what.
The mayor said out loud that the amulet was made by Thorgrim, who is the current the leader of the dwarven clan in the city, and he's basically held up in the clan hold here in town.
Okay. Is there any way that because of my my age I can recognize any of these names?
You can roll history for it. Because of your age, you might have come across maybe a dwarf who's been from Karak and Zor at some point in the past or visited it, but it'll be a stretch.
It would certainly be helpful if you knew about this dwarf.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. I just want to know if maybe throughout my travels I had heard the name or something.
Yes.
Because here's the thing, I know about this dwarf. I know a lot about this dwarf, and unfortunately, I'm not the kind of person who should talk to this dwarf, and that's something I don't know.
The dwarf, according to all the treaties and papers written about him, is not the type of person.
So, nope.
You don't know shit about this dwarf.
All right.
Well, fuck.
Whereas Luna knows, but if they meet, they will not get along.
No, they won't, and there will be unrest, and there will probably be some kind of massive argument.
Well, I'm really glad that Karen befriended that one dwarf. Maybe that'll come to advantage in some way.
The trick is to realize that Luna's not a diplomat, and for somebody to tell her to shut the fuck up for a minute.
Basically, yeah.
It'll be interesting.
It will be.
Anyways.
Okay, so with all that settled about the whole suspicion of what the amulet was and learning this information, she'll probably just give it back to the guy, and the last thing he said was something along the lines of that thing about him caring for the people, and he'd lend the amulet away if it meant stopping the cultists.
Yes,
right.
Yes, he said he'd give it temporarily away if it meant stopping the cultists.
Okay.
But only if Thorgrim backed up your claims that it was dangerous and would help. He was specific about that too. You need to get this dwarf's basic command for him to do it.
So she'd respond with, I can make no promises that my actions from here on will save your city from these cultists, but rest assured, I have just as much reason to investigate them as anyone else right now. And I'll do everything I can to find out more about them and possibly how they could be stopped.
The mayor just kind of nods, and you can tell he's still very, very shaken up over the fact that this cult has connections to this necromancer figure in the past. It's just like really, he does not like that idea whatsoever.
Well, it's the truth, old man. Fuck.
Yeah, he does not like that at all.
So she'd, probably just wave him off and walk away at that point. She's done with him.
Yeah, he's gonna like.
What was the dwarf's name that we would have to get approval from?
Thorgrim, Karak, and Zor. He is the current head of the clan. I can send you the name in the chat. He is going to be the person you need to get the approval of.
All right, I just need another name.
And I also mentioned he has a son who is not the dwarf you have met. His name is Durin, and he is the clan diplomat. He is primarily dealing with the elven settlements these days, though. So he's not very common to see in the city or in the hold.
Fair enough.
All right, so done with that guy. She's probably gonna start walking back to her room.
I guess as Luna's walking by, Karen just looks at her and is like, you can get really aggressive with relics. Has anyone ever told you that?
I get aggressive with many things. It's part of my research.
I'll look at her and say, well, if you got a sec, you mind if I ask you a few questions?
If you must.
Well, we can do it here or in your room. You take your choice. Probably better in your room. I don't really care much for those guards watching us.
She sort of looks back to the guards and nods her head. Yes, those morons may get the wrong idea if we say too much around them.
Do you think the same way?
Just kind of shoot you a look, but they don't move from their post.
Because they can't.
Karen just shoots them to look back.
And deep outside the village, Clark shoots them a look.
And then they just straighten up like, oh shit, was that Clark?
Oh shit, I think it's all Clark.
That one just goes right to the heart.
Oh fuck. And Darien had made his way over here too, so
so I was gonna look to Darien and be like, so what are you gonna do, big guy?
I love how none of you know each other's names still.
I know, that still needs to be found out.
I love that fact. I love that we managed to survive this long without asking for each other's names.
Pretty much at this point, Karen just refers to Darien as big guy.
Yeah. Well, Darren leans in and says, if you don't mind me listening in on this conversation, I'll gladly tag along.
I have no objections.
Well then, I guess we should probably make our way over to your place.
Right. Hurry up then. And then she just walks past him and goes towards her room.
Karen's just following closely behind her. Shit, Oh no. Oh, you're just over top of me. That's what it is.
Yeah. So she... Oh, that's weird that it wouldn't put you on priority.
I think it's... Yeah, that's weird. I don't know.
So she walks into her room and just starts fiddling around with the stuff she has, like the book, the amulet, all the research stuff that she's got going on. You'll see all around the room, it's kind of already a mess, even though they've only been here for a little while. There's alchemy supplies everywhere. She's clearly been working hard since she got in here. And she's already made herself a little bit more at home than the average person would have.
Yes, Karen does take note of this, but first off, she looks to Luna and asks, how are you doing?
She just sort of... She looks to her and asks, what do you mean?
Oh, that...
Small talk.
It wasn't exactly the easiest of fight. I know you took a hit back there. I'm just making sure that you're all right.
She just sort of looks down at herself, sort of at the areas where she was initially, wounded, before before she recovered, and then she just says, "I never expected you to live up completely to my standards. Don't worry."
Don't worry, you're not the first person to say that. You're not the last.
So she,
Karen just kind of walks over and looks at all the stuff that she has on the table.
Careful what you touch.
Karen then reaches into her back pocket and pulls out the cross that the same one that Luna has, and holds it up and says, "You mean one like this?"
She sort of.
It's not a cross. It's a.
Sorry, the skull.
Crown skull.
Yeah, the crown skull.
She sort of narrows her eyes at the sight of the amulet.
Remember, it's still wrapped in cloth, so this is why Karen's able to hold it.
She looks angry and annoyed by that amulet and its existence.
Karen does notice this and just looks at her like, "So you do know something about this, then?"
No, and that's the problem. All I know is that the symbol is. Cody, you said the symbol was directly connected to the necromancer,
yes,
right?
It is the symbol the necromancer used. Him and his father used during their reigns of terror that only just ended like 50 years ago. So
the symbol is directly connected to the necromancer that had that mare so jittery. Other than that, I couldn't figure out anything. Not even what that magic is around it.
yes, and said necromancer is a lich. Don't omit that little detail.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right. Oh, and of course the necromancer, being a lich, gave me quite a fright as well.
Karen just lets out a light chuckle and puts the amulet on the table, and then walks over to the wall here and just says loud enough that they can all hear. It's like, "So, can't believe I was right all those years ago. My suspicions were correct."
She just sort of looks at her with a tilted head like, "Care to explain?"
Let's just say that this is not the first time I've seen this. I have no idea what it was, but for the longest time I've been trying to figure it out.
Are you referring to the lich, the necromancy, or the maniac cultist?
Just the undead part of it, and the fact that there might be a necromancer behind it. Like, it was one of the things Karen thought when she was younger, back to her past, when there's a whole thing where her village was turned into undead, and she suspects that it had to be something to do with necromancer, but could never find any connections to it.
Oh, gotcha.
And
that was in character, though.
Oh, okay, sorry, I wasn't in character. Sorry, I didn't know if you were.
No, I got you. I figured.
You can roll, I would say, maybe either perception or investigation, Karen, to see if you recall ever seeing that particular symbol on the neck. Anybody who had been at your village all those years ago.
All right, and sorry, what was it that you were saying? No, sorry, what was Luna saying? I didn't know. I thought that was out of character. My bad.
Oh, no. She just asked, she asked if you were referring to the lich, the necromancy, or the maniac cultist.
Okay, and I'm rolling persuasion? Or no, what, perception.
Perception or investigation, whatever is better for you, I guess.
Definitely going to be perception.
You don't recall, because it's been so long since that instant.
And she was also she was only 15 years old.
Yep, it's been so long since that instant, you don't quite recall ever seeing that symbol on anybody.
Karen just places her thumb and forefinger on her forehead as if she's trying to remember, but basically just says, it's been so long, I was only 15 when it happened. I honestly was just, I couldn't get a glimpse of anything, but it was the days after that I remember, like it was a vivid memory.
What a shock it would be if you were involved with this character more than once. Oh well, though. That fact doesn't matter.
Aaron looks back to Luna. Hold on. Looks back to her, is like, what was I gonna... Sorry, I'm blanking. Hold on a second.
It happens.
Okay, so yeah, Karen looks back to Luna. This is the closest lead I've had in God knows how many years now about what happened on that day. I feel like the two of us could, at least the two of us could benefit from each other.
Aren't you already benefiting from my company?
I've seen how you fight out there. You're not exactly skilled in fighting. You could use some help.
I was talking about the money, but I don't disagree. Although I would have preferred you not point that out.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I get it. I did. Originally, this was a job. Now it's kind of turned into a little bit more.
Darien leans in and says, I know this might not be the most appropriate moment in all of the conversations that's going on, but don't you think, after travelling all this time together, that introductions are in order?
Karen looks at Darien and looks at Lusa and lets a small chuckle. And here I just thought your name was Big Guy.
Luna looks over towards Darien and says, is it really necessary for an employer to tell two hired hands their name?
Karen looks at Darien. She's not wrong.
Can't think of what to say here. In character.
I feel so bad. You're dealing with such a bitch.
Kaden's character doesn't help.
No, I don't help either.
I'm literally drawing a blank on what to say here.
Yeah, just like totally disarmed, like.
Like, fuck, I didn't expect that reply.
Oh, well, fuck.
Well, Darien leans in and says, well, if you won't give your names, I'll at least give mine. My name is Darien Rise. Pleased to meet you.
She turns away, looks back to her research stuff, starts fiddling around a bit, and just sort of says Luna as she does so.
Karen looks at the both of them and just lets a smile slip across her face before looking to Darien. My name's Karen.
Introductions!
Huzzah! You finally know each other's name.
Achievement unlocked.
Learn their first names.
Yeah, I like how two of them didn't give last names.
Yeah, yeah.
I get why Luna did, but I don't know Karen well enough to know why she didn't.
I mean, Darien will always do that. It's just the way he is. He's that.
Yeah, it's hero talk.
Yep.
You always give your full name because you're the hero.
Karen has her reasons for not wanting to give her full name.
So does Luna. That would have to be pride out of her.
Karen's is more for protection.
So.
Anyways, so Karen looks back to Lusa, and basically sees her looking through the stuff. It's like, you're a scholar, aren't you?
She sort of smirks a bit. Obviously, that the word scholar hitting her ego, and she nods her head. I'm a researcher. I'm studying the applications of magic of any type I could possibly find.
Karen smiles. It's like, yeah, I could actually tell by your eyes.
She quickly she turns over to Karen, and she holds out her arm, which has this gauntlet on it, and she begins to explain. I'm sure you noticed me using these gauntlets in battle earlier. They're a work in progress of mine. I'm attempting to find a way to infuse them with magical properties and inflict damage on my opponents in a far more terrifying manner than ever before dreamed.
Karen walks a little bit closer and sends her arm around, taps the gauntlet a little bit. It's like, oh yeah, don't think I didn't notice this little baby, but the thing I noticed more was those eyes. I've seen those eyes many times before in many different people, but they're all the same. The eyes of a scholar, the eyes of someone who thirsts for knowledge.
She chuckles a bit, and her sly smirk still very very much prominent on her face, as she says, "I didn't expect either of you to be intelligent enough to peg me so easily."
Karen lets out a smirk as well and looks at them and is like, and I didn't expect you to be so young.
Her smirk disappears almost instantly, and it turns into like almost a scowl, and she responds, "I hope you don't think less of me because of my age. I assure you, I'm very well experienced."
Karen just smiles and chuckles again and walks over here. Oh, trust me, I don't judge people by their age. I judge people by their experience. And you, for someone your age, you definitely have a lot more experience than the average scholar.
She turns away again and says, 20 years is more than enough to those who know how to use their time wisely."
True that. True that. I was gonna say something else. Yeah, so it looks at Luna again and just stands in the middle of the room. I guess, yeah, right there between them all. Just looks at her and is like I said, I feel like we can benefit each other. You're looking for more information, and I'm looking for. It seems to be I'm looking for the same thing that you're looking for. Again, I've seen you out there. You've got skills, but you are still a little rusty around the edges. You definitely could use some help for someone looking out for you.
She takes a moment to consider that point, putting one finger to her lip in a show of contemplation, and she nods her head. "Yes, I don't suppose I could handle those cultists by myself too easily, if they were to return. No, I think I will keep you around. You two have proven your usefulness more than enough, even if some did it more unexpectedly than I would have liked." She looks at Darien, remembering his drunken axe flailing.
Darien just cocks his head to the side like, what?
Karen looks at Darien as well and is like, yeah, that was a thing.
Darien does not remember this axe throw.
Just no idea. He's just
That part of the night escapes him.
Yeah, Karen just kind of squints her eyes at Darien and looks back to Luna. So if we're gonna do this, there's gonna need to be some. Seems to be the most appropriate thing in our unique situation would be some sort of contract.
A contract. Yes, I suppose that's fair.
So how about this? In exchange for me helping you out and watching your back and helping you find the information you need, I'm not looking for money. I'm looking for the exact same information you're looking for. I'll stick by you. I'll look out for you, but you need to let me know everything that you know.
She lets out a sort of semi-annoyed sigh. "I really can't say I've ever enjoyed explaining things to people who can't figure it out for themselves, but in this one instance, I suppose I'll make an exception. I'll gladly share with you any information I acquire on the subject, so long as you deign to do the same."
Karen smiles and places her hand on Luna's shoulder. That's a deal. And I feel like we're in the same boat. I've never been too fond of babysitting as well either. Walks out the door.
She watches her leave, and then looks to Darien and says, "And what about you?"
Darien says, I will willingly protect you, but I have 2 requests to make of you. If you accept these requests, then I will help you in any way I can.
Speak your requests.
The requests are, I am looking for a certain individual, and I don't really have any info on it. So if you hear any information or rumors of a certain person, will you inform me of them?
I'll need to know a little bit more about the person to know if I have any information on them.
Well, the only information I can provide is when I was in the army and I helped defend my people, a good friend of mine ended up dying on the field, and he gave me a ring. I ended up going to sleep that night, and when I awoke, the ring was stolen. All that I know is that outside my tent there was a commotion, and some soldiers saw a hooded figure run towards this town with clutching a ring, and that's all that I know.
I see. A hooded figure.
Yes.
Sounds like it could have been one of the cult leaders.
Yes.
Well, we still have that one fellow tied up in that makeshift brig. I suppose I could add a couple questions when we interrogate him.
Yes.
And your other request?
And the other request is a simple one. Just buy me a drink later. That is all I need.
Warrior types are so easy to please. Very well. A drink of your choice. On me.
All right. Deal.
Excellent. Having hired hands and, shall we say, companions? She sort of questions whether that wording was right, as though she's never really, as though she doesn't frequent that word often. Will be quite beneficial to my research, I can already tell.
Darren just raises his thumb. His approval.
All right then. With that, you're free to get out of my room.
All right. I'll be on my way.
So this is a little thing for Dazz and Darien. As all the 2 of you were talking, Karen had gone back to her room, put the amulet back in there, and immediately went to this little courtyard area out here, where she decided to go do some of her usual late night training of trying to balance her body and mind by doing some martial arts. So she's outside just doing all that. So if you walk by, you could probably see her if you really wanted to go and ask her questions.
Okay.
Just an option.
Yes. Just trying to think of some questions to ask if I've
Keep accidentally opening Discord to the same Discord page and then minimizing it for no reason.
I can't think of anything I would ask.
Well, if you want, you can just go outside, and then Karen will notice him walk in because of her hearing.
Okay.
And go from there and see what happens if you want to.
Yeah, I'll do that.
All depends. I don't know how Darien's character is. If Darien would rather get to know the people he's working with more or not, that's up to him.
No, well, of course he does. He's the typical, companion, looking out for people, trying to help them in any way, story-wise or anything.
Just so you know, Karen's basically out there doing, a slow style of martial arts, almost like a dance.
Yeah.
Just in the moonlight sky, as the moon shines down on her.
Who's banging my avatar?
I don't. I think that's Hilda.
Is that you, Cody?
No.
I didn't. I think it might be Hilda.
Was it green?
It was green.
Yeah.
That was you, Dazz.
I'm not even.
It was more yellow though. It was more yellow than green.
No, the second one was yellow. That was me. But the first one was green, and that was Dazz.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know how to ping.
You hold the left click.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh yeah, how about that?
Oh God, what have I done?
That was me that did that one.
and me.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
If you need to know who's pinging, the color corresponds with the color at the bottom right of our profile pictures at the bottom of the screen.
Well, I like how yours and mine are so similar.
I like purple.
So do I. Well, at least Karen does, so that's why I picked it.
I actually just changed it because I realized it wasn't purple already.
Anyways, so while Karen's doing all this, she hears the footsteps of Darien. She doesn't even need her elven hearing to hear the loud metal clanking of his armor. She does a quick strike with her fist before glancing over to him. It's like, so she's a real treat, isn't she?
He replies, "Yes, a tricky one indeed, but I can see the good in them."
Oh, don't worry. I see it too, but like I've said, she's young. She does a couple more strikes before stopping and then doing a quick stretch and looks to Darien.
Darien wanders outside rather than standing in the doorway. So Darien says, "So are you doing some like training, late evening training?"
You could say that. I tend every night I tend to go out and practice my martial arts. Part of my training is to learn how to balance the ki within my body. I need to learn to balance both my body and mind. Practicing my martial arts helps me control the balance of the ki in my body.
Okay.
Aaron looks over to Darren and he seems a little confused. Does he seem a little confused by what she's saying?
Yeah, because bear in mind he's not really seen much of any other race other than the humans that he's done in his past, so he doesn't know a lot about them.
Probably never seen a monk before either, in all honesty.
Aaron just looks at him and lets out a chuckle again. He's like, "You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you?"
No, I do not.
She rests her stance and walks over to him and looks at him. Well, here's a quick crash course. Think of ki as your own life force. I study the art of a monk. The way it works is I learn to balance the ki within my body, and it allows me to do almost supernatural things. It's not only just my ki that I can control. I can also control somebody else's. So if I really wanted to, I could alter the ki within your body and make it so your legs don't work anymore. He says with a little smirk and taps him on his chest plate.
Well, please refrain from doing that in the future. Chuckles.
As long as you don't try and throw another axe at me.
Deal.
Aaron steps.
If he's drunk, he won't hold that promise.
Aaron stops and steps back a bit and just kind of looks Darien up and down. It's like, so I'm really the first elf you've ever met.
Yes, you are.
How much do you actually know about elves?
If I'm being brutally honest, nothing.
She lets out another chuckle. It's like, I'm so surprised you've survived this long.
Well, I survived this long mostly due to my combat experience.
Yes, I've seen that firsthand. You've got quite a bit of strength behind you.
Stems from growing up with my childhood friend and doing a lot of sparring matches, that's all.
Aaron stares at him for a few seconds before letting a light sigh. You know what? Since you don't seem to be trying to bite my head off, I'll let you ask me a question. What is it you'd like to know? You seem like the type who wants to who likes to get to know people before that he's working with.
Yeah.
Unlike some bitches we know.
By the way, Karen did say that in character.
Okay. So tell me, have you been traveling around for long?
Karen lets out a good laugh. You could say that. You not knowing about elves, looking at me for the first time, how old would you think I am?
I'd have a guess of about maybe mid-30s.
Oh, you are such a sweet little darling, aren't you? Hey, guy, I'm 150.
What?
Perks of being an elf. I have a much longer lifespan than others, so you can say I've been traveling around for, probably a good, well over 120 years.
Well then.
Oh, sorry, what was that?
I said Darien's in shock from hearing that.
Karen walks back over and is like, "Yep, that's usually the reaction I get when a human first meets an elf." What about you? I'm more curious about you. You come off of a boat. You seem to have sort of this hero thing going for you. Why are you even here? I can't quite get my head around that. You've got combat experience, but you don't seem to really know much about the outside world as it is.
No, because I spent most of my time in my village. The only reason I ended up leaving is because I heard of an invasion that my friend, an invasion of an army that my friend was participating of, and I was going there to help him. And long story short, he ended up dying, and I'm here searching for a certain individual. That's all I would say.
A smirk goes across Karen's face. So, if I'm getting this correctly, what you're looking for is, let's say you're looking for a bounty hunter. Someone who can. Oh, it's fortunate for you that I happen to be one.
Oh.
So, because it seems like we're going to be working together, we can work something out.
Yeah. What did you have in mind?
Let's see. She walks around, just sort of contemplating what she can possibly get out of Darien. She stops and then looks back at him and is like, "You know what? I'm gonna leave that as a surprise."
Darien looks puzzled from that, definitely.
Let's just say when the moment comes that I need a favor, I'm gonna be looking to you, buddy.
Oh my god.
Okay.
You totally said exactly what I was thinking in my head.
Sound like a deal?
Darien just raises his thumb, says, "Yep, it's fine by me."
He's so agreeable.
That's the type he is. That's the type of character he is. He's just sort of straightforward, easy, read like a book.
Aaron walks over and gives him a quick tap on the shoulder so that his armor echoes a little bit from the tap. But, you seem like a pretty good guy. Someone who would stick his neck out for anybody.
Yeah, I've done that a lot.
Aaron's smile quickly fades away. It's gonna get you killed one day.
Maybe, but I can't go against my principles.
I'm saying I didn't warn you, big guy. The world out there is not all sunshine and rainbows. It tends to eat people like you up. He walks over to the door. Trust me, I've seen it happen many a times. He just walks back in and goes back into her room.
Rip Dazz.
Yep. Darien's just gonna go back to his room.
Alrighty, you guys had your little party get together.
Yeah, we did. The next time, we have to interrogate this guy.
Yes.
Yes.
And then we gotta go talk to a dwarf.
Yes, you have to go deal with the dwarf in the city.
That should be interesting.
The dwarf. The dwarf who's really easily angered.
Oh, yes.
And is about to be confronted by the bitchiest member of the party.
Really easily angered and not exactly a big fan of disrespectful people.
Yeah.
Be great fun.
It's gonna be fun, and I've got some ideas.
I'm just still fingers crossed. Somebody will tell her to shut up and be able to convince her of actually doing that.
Well, don't look to Darien. He's not the smartest person.
Oh, don't worry. Karen's got a few things that she can think of.
Yeah. So based off what you told me about the dwarf,
may or may not involve Darien.
Based off what you told me about the dwarf, you said that the two things he doesn't like are disrespectful people and unintelligent people, right?
Yes.
So it seems like the only one qualified to actually get a word in with this guy is Karen, who's like in the middle on both of them.
And Karen is an elf.
Yes.
And Karen is also an elf, more elf than
the
Luna.
dwarves of Karak and Zor, the clan hold, really like elves because they have a very good relationship with them and have had so for many, many years.
All I can say is the next session if we actually run into that dwarf, boy, is it gonna be interesting.
Oh no, there's no maybe with that. That's
good because I really want to do that scene.
If you really want to get anywhere with that this amulet in the catacombs, you're gonna need that dwarf.
Are you talking about the head dwarf or the dwarf from the bar?
Head dwarf.
I'm assuming it's gonna have something to do with Karen running into her buddy from the bar, and then it leads to that. Maybe.
I mean, you gotta either find him or just hope for the best, because he will definitely be one of the ways you can get into that hold. Because you can show up to the hold and say, "Hey, we want to talk to Thorgrim," and they'll be like, "Ha."
Yeah, it's not gonna go that way.
Yeah, that's what Luna's gonna try.
They're like, "Who the hell are you? You're just some random ass human. Got here with this shit." Again, not just anybody. Like even the mayor has to make an appointment.
I have a funny feeling these dwarves are not gonna like me.
Well, I do have a good idea of how Luna's idea of just going there and telling them to let them in might work, but it's also not a guarantee, so someone else will have to suggest a better plan to her when it comes to that.
Oh yeah, that'll probably happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the dwarves there are not very friendly. At least if like you're demanding, but they're generally okay.
So if you keep being manners, they'll be okay with you for
that? It's basically like a policy of their entire hold.
Okay.
Yeah, Luna's gonna need a muzzle.
Because they deal with enough disrespect from the local human population. They don't need it coming from outsiders.
I guess it's probably.
That's the key point, though. It really depends on what happens, because Luna can be respectful to people that she finds useful.
Oh yes. Well, the thing about the average dwarf is they're generally going to be older, not spineless cowards, and probably a fair bit more intelligent than your average human.
So there's a decent chance she probably won't immediately hate them.
Yeah.
Not unless
it's just not a guarantee. It depends on how they act.
Snarky comment about her.
Oh no, they won't do that. They'll make one about Darien though. Probably about his armor. In all honesty.
Probably.
Yeah.
That shoddy human craftsmanship.
It's the best I could get.
Look at the human.
All I'm gonna say is if it comes down to a case of Luna gets a little out of control, Karen's gonna be very happy that she has a very obedient pair of muscles that will probably do whatever she says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dazz isn't signed no contract. He's only here to basically, police it.
Yep. It's his style, just to tagging along and just to do the greater good. That's his style.
All right, I'm gonna close down the D&D thing.
Yeah.
So we don't discuss future stuff until it actually happens.
Yeah.
Also, Dazz.
Okay.
I want to talk to you about your ring, because I have an idea for that ring.
Okay.
I'll tell Dammy about it later.
All right.
All right. So I'm gonna cut off the recording now. This has been the first episode of D&D with friends. I don't know if I'm going to call it that.
Well,
We'll find
D&D
out.
Figure out a name.
1.5 technically, because this is halfway between sessions.
Yeah, this is just like a mini episode or whatever.
Yeah, this is the mini-sode that happened after our first session to make sure that
It
this
never
was
got
worth
recorded.
recording,
Yeah.
which we really wish we had recorded.
Yes. Now that I have everything set up, I can actually do it properly this time.
Yeah, so we got 2 sources of recording. Yeah, so stay tuned for the next episode. Goodbye.